Studio. Check.
Frequencies check.
We are live on air.
You are listening to the It Factor, blessing the airwaves. Take the journey into the world of sports, news, entertainment, while embracing the hottest beats on the planet. Rocking the mind, body, and with energy, electricity, and a splash of controversy. Now, without further ado, it's our pleasure to bring to you
The biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world.
the biggest show in the world, the SBTV Nation.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Happy Friday. This is Rob, the Mad Hatter. We are the SBTV Nation. We are the It Factor. And I got to have a conversation about the Louisville Cardinal with my boy, The Dream. What's up, kid?
Hey, before we get into that conversation, as beats banging in the background, I don't want my boy Slick Rick Lopez to feel a little bit uncomfortable with that little 187 little West Coast flavor, old school Snoop Doggy Dogg in the house. Hey, Louisville goes down, man, yesterday, and just, the thing with it is, you applaud Houston. You know what I'm saying? And I got love for Houston. Obviously, I got a little bit of a favoritism as far as Houston is concerned. But the thing that kills you is, where was the defense and the offense against SMU and against Navy? Because this was designed at the beginning of the season. This game would have catapulted either one of these teams into the playoff situation.
Of course.
But Houston goes out and loses to SMU and then the Navy.
Yep.
All right. Then Louisville loses to Clemson, which wasn't that bad of a look. But now you get Houston beating them, and ultimately what we got, both teams in the Fruit Bowl.
Exactly. Well, you know what? There's a couple of things. First things first, Dream. And I think I've got the nation on my side now. Houston, in those two losses, was not a home team underdog on primetime.
I got to stop you about the home team.
What do you mean you got to stop me? You're up like 30-some-odd units if you've done that all year.
Okay, I'm not going to say that. All I'm going to say is ask you to just go down to Troy now for me, please.
Oh, yeah, just shut up. We'll get into Troy in a minute because I'm a little salty about that. I'm a little salty about that. But I know. But they were a home team favorite. But anyway, getting back to Houston and Louisville, Dream, you know what? You remember a text I sent you. And this was last week when Louisville was struggling with Wake at home in Louisville. Remember I texted you and I said Alabama would murder Louisville?
Yes.
When you looked at Houston, you compare Houston's front four compared to our front seven because they're blitzed every down compared to the likes of Alabama or even a Michigan, for instance. Dream, they sacked him 12 times. And they did not allow the rushing attack to get going, as we talked about on the show. That Houston had a pretty damn good rush defense, with the exception of the Navy game. But, looking at it there, I never expected Louisville to lose the game, but they got their asses kicked.
I did not disagree that Alabama would beat Louisville. The issue with these games and the issue with these kids are, you are able to get these kids to play up so much above their level when put in that type of spotlight. So, for example, last night, Houston knows who Louisville is. They muster up all their spirit, all their everything, and play a million times above their head because this is not the same Houston team that obviously played SMU or played Navy. And I know I hear you with okay, yeah, they're home and whatever. But the flip side of that is not only are they home, but they recognize who Louisville was. Okay, yeah. And so the talk of the evening was, or the talk of the practice up into this game is we're gonna go out there and we're gonna beat Louisville because we know they got the Heisman Trophy winner, all the hype that goes along with that. These kids now play above their heads, which I would say the same thing would get injected into Louisville playing an Alabama international title game, because Louisville, I think, even showed against Clemson the ability to play better than they played last night.
Well, I can tell you this much, that when you have a team that is a 2-touchdown underdog at home, it's clearly a level of disrespect, Dream, by the nation and the odds makers. They know that going into these games. So it's the hoopla around, the captains with their speeches and the coaches and stuff like that, saying, you know what, you guys are obviously not getting any credit, not getting any respect from the nation right now. So go out there and lay the smackdown and show them who you are. And sure enough, you know what? Hey, they sacked them 12 times, Dream. That's impressive. Especially a man of the likes that has that mobile ability that Action Jackson does.
The flip side to that hat is, sometimes you just, you played sports before. I played, obviously, even when I work out. You know how you go to the gym and you start your routine and you're like, you know what? I ain't feeling it today.
Oh, I've been there 100 times.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, and I hate to say this, but honestly, guys, this goes down, with athletes as well. And last night, for whatever reason, Action Jackson looked like he just wasn't feeling it tonight.
Well, when they go down 7-0 in the first minute of the game, I mean, right there, it already kind of damages your psyche. But you know what? The thing is that Louisville has been flirting with this a little bit, just like Clemson does. And they flirt with it. They'll fall down a little bit early or whatever, and they just say, we got this. We're good. And the fourth quarter will explode, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? Now when you're down, you're forced to air the ball out, as we talked about yesterday. Dream, we painted this picture yesterday. At least I did. Anyway, I'll take the credit for it. But anyway, he was forced to air the ball out, and you know what? They just kept sending linebackers left and right, all these exotic blitzes. I mean, Dream, I think they blitzed on every down last night.
And see, some of that to me, too, some of that is the kids, some of that's the scheme, but some of that is also the coaching and not being able to make adequate adjustments. And I've talked about that this season. I have started to recognize in the NFL and in college football, I'm sorry, I know that there's a lack of fundamentals as far as practice is concerned. I know that is also an issue that's out there as well. However, you got a bunch of these coaches, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators getting paid an awful lot of money, and I don't see here's my thing. I don't mind if you get beat. I don't mind if you get beat or blown out. Can you at least show me a ripple of you attempting something different?
I agree with you. 100%.
I watch a whole game and I see you constantly doing the same thing. That means that you've decided you're not breaking away from your game plan and you're not changing anything.
Right on.
I want to see, all right, let's try some screen passes. Let's try some draws. Let's try some shotgun draws. Let's get him under the snap. Let's implement the fullback. I want to see some concrete changes out on the field that I can at least say, all right, listen, they tried to do a bunch of stuff, and for everything they tried, this team had the answer. When I don't see that, that's what makes me struggle with not just the kids, but the coaching staff. Because, hey, why are you guys there? If you guys are going to just write this up and just send them out there to do this, then what do they need you there for?
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. When you have a defense that is sending 7 guys at you, play in and play out, like 3 out of the 4 downs, at least 75 to 90% of the time they were blitzing. That's the situation where you got to throw some underneath screens or something like that, because you're lacking in the secondary, and they just weren't doing it. Dream, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, throw a damn screen, do something,
If you don't, you got man-on-man situations on the outside. Just listen, quick, just take off, go, just go. I'm just airing the ball out. You got 5 seconds, and I'm letting it loose. I mean, that's what you say right in the huddle. That's how it works.
I agree with you. So, you know what? And I'm getting some comments on Twitter here about home team underdogs, Dream. And you know what? If you guys are getting on board, you're getting on board a little late here, because Houston was plus 650 last night on the money line to win the game, Dream. And you know what? The night before, or last week, when Iowa played, they were a 24-point underdog. They were plus 1,100. So right there, you're plus almost 18 units. Bang!
Just be very careful. We've seen, look, I know I know there's been some evidence that this situation is very successful. Okay, I get that. All right. I'm not going to try to not get away from that. But some of this is coincidence.
Oh,
some of this is the home team shouldn't be the underdog in the first place. And some of this is, the home team dog. So still use your brain when you're trying to get involved with this. If you think you're going to just blindly, I'm just going home team dog, you're going to be back in here tweeting that hat a couple weeks from now. You're out stupid.
Well, you know what? I mean, listen, you're probably going to win maybe this year. It's been it's not over 50%, guys. It's definitely not. I mean, you're probably flirting with 25% at a time, 35, 40% at a time even. But when you're hitting 10-1, 8-1, 6-1, 15-1 in some circumstances, Dream. So, it all evens itself out, and you are over 30 units on the year if you've done that. This is just home team underdogs in general in college. I haven't even done prime time yet. Prime time, I know for a fact, is more profitable than that. So, anyway.
And which game would you consider? See, that what's hard with college, excuse me, is considering which particular game you want to, we have to definitely identify what we're going to call prime time.
I got 4 key games that we could talk about that were big upsets. One of them was last night. The other one was when Penn State beat the Ohio State University.
Sure.
We had Iowa beat Michigan last week.
Sure.
And there was the Wyoming play when they played Boise State.
Sure, but here's my thing. Do you qualify, like I said, even last night, do you consider last night prime time? I mean, the NFL game, as far as I'm concerned, took precedence over the college game. So I don't know about that being prime time. And then you give me Michigan, Iowa. Michigan, the time slots of those games, wasn't that a 4 o'clock?
It was an 8 o'clock game.
It was an 8 o'clock game?
Yeah.
Okay. The 8 o'clock on Saturday, I think I can run with you as prime time. There's nothing else really going on at that time.
Dude, but you know what? The Louisville game started at 7 o'clock. So the game was over by the halftime because Houston was up 31-0. So you were able to switch over to NFL right after that at 8:30.
We considered over at halftime when Louisville had just scored 34 in the fourth quarter a week before. Come on.
I know, and you and I were kidding back and forth going about, possibly live lining Louisville at like whatever it was, plus 600 or whatever they were in that game at some point. But anyway, let's move on and have a conversation. Oh, my man Caveman was on that. Congratulations to you, brother. He was on Houston a little on the money line, plus he had him plus 14.5. But I got to talk. I can't be all rainbows and sunshine here because Troy got destroyed. And, dude, I had no clue that was going to happen. You give me that play 99 times out of 100, Dream, and I play it. I looked at it. I looked at all the stats. I checked out the injury report. I didn't see anything whatsoever that would have pulled me off that game. And you know what? They just did not show. They were so flat. I don't know what the hell happened to them. But you know what? That team was ranked. And maybe it's the curse of being ranked. Because this week they cracked the top 25 and then go in and lay an egg at home in front of their home fans.
There's pressure on these teams, and you come up with a game plan and a scheme you think is going to be successful, and all of a sudden, I mean, you coach, you get these kids out there, and you're just not able to execute the way you're expected to execute. Not to mention some of the ideas that you had about the other team, you were absolutely dead wrong about. I remember there's one team we played, we thought that they were going to do X, Y, Z because they had shown it, so many times. They absolutely never did that at any point in the game. So you're like, whoa, well, what happened? I thought they were going to do this.
It's crazy. It's crazy how it all works out. So Troy failed miserably for me, but you know what? It is what it is. I had that tied in with Carolina, so I ended up losing the teaser bet. You have any more college football before we talk about the Saints?
No more college football. Let's talk about the bizarre, I'll say, game last night in the NFL. Were you able to catch any of it?
I did.
I watched Houston.
I was going back and forth, to be honest with you. And my kid had a game last night, so I didn't really get to catch much of the Louisville first half. I just sent you the photo of 31-0 at the half. But, we ended up stopping at a restaurant afterwards, and I was able to watch Carolina. And I've turned it on when it was 3-3. And to be honest with you, I thought they played well defensively, Dream. I really did.
Carolina?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the game, they did.
All right, and at the end, they kind of almost squandered that lead, just like they've been with.
I don't know what is wrong with the Carolina Panthers as far as it seems like they almost lose interest in a football game as it goes on, which is unlike most teams, because it's like most teams get more, get more involved in it as the game leads on. It's like you loosen up and now you're able to execute. The Carolina Panthers, it's like they can't execute as the game goes on. Now, the one thing that bothers me about this game, what play is you have the Saints kick a field goal on 4th down at the 5-minute mark in the third quarter when they were down 3 scores. The field goal does nothing for you. It still keeps you down 3 scores. I don't really understand this. It was 4th and 7. I kind of felt like they should go for it. The announcers mentioned it as well. Saints opted not to go for it. The other problem I had with the Saints re-get the ball again 2 more times. And yes, they did score. But in each of their drives, there was no urgency. They never went to a no huddle, never went to 2-minute drill, and ran the ball a lot in both of those drives, utilizing a lot of their clock. Now, it did all end up working out for them as far as them being able to have a situation to put their offense in the driver's seat towards the end of the game. However, the last play that Carolina gets, they're in a 3rd and 8. There's two minutes left on about 2:34 on the clock, and Carolina picks up a 1st down. The Saints opt to not pressure Cam, which Cam had done nothing in the 4th quarter. I mean, defensively, the Saints have finally stepped up and really shut them down. They opt to not pressure him, and then they leave Benjamin open. He gets a pass off, he gets a 1st down to Benjamin, which ultimately seals the game, for Carolina. And I just don't understand the Saints' mentality at the end of the game. 1, as far as the utilization of the clock, and 2, as far as the defense not blitzing Cam on that last down. I just don't get it. And the Saints, I think, once again, I'm back looking at the coaching, and I do think Peyton's one of the better coaches in NFL. But, dude, in game, coach terribly.
Oh, exactly. Well, you know what? If you think about the landscape of Carolina's season this year, and you go back to, we'll talk week 1 with the loss in Denver, where they had a pretty big lead. But didn't they have a big lead, Dream? They were up at least 10 in that game, right?
I think so.
I think they were like laying a smackdown on them in the beginning.
I remember some smack being laid, and then I remember saying, "Whoa, what happened?"
So let's talk about just those 2 losses there. Between that one and Kansas City. This team is squandering leads, and that is the difference between them being in first place in their division and being in last place, if you think about it, if you swap that out.
But you still, listen, you watch this Carolina team, and I don't know if you guys watched it, but I watched it last night. I'm sorry. This Cam, he's talented. I talked about him being talented, and he's a great athlete. Other parts of him I don't like, but I will give him the respect and the courtesy of being a great athlete. But the people that they have assembled around him, dude.
To a certain extent, Dream, you gotta give your hat. You gotta tip your hat to Ted Ginn Jr. though with that catch. That catch was awesome.
Son, Ted Ginn shows up 1 game a season for one
that was dope. That's one of the best catches of the year, by the way.
Ted loves one best catch a year to keep himself in the NFL.
I get it, but that was a great catch,
ever do.
Yep, I know. But when you first looked at it, when you saw it happen live, you're like, oh yeah, he's out of bounds. But then they did the replay, and he dragged that foot. I was like, wow, that's very impressive. And that takes a lot of skill. And I don't know if you guys have all played football in the past, but you know what? That takes a ton of skill to get that done. But anyway, good morning to everybody. We are SBTV Nation. We are live on Twitter and getting ready to rock this Friday. Dream, what else do you got on your mind?
I picked myself off the floor for your Ted Ginn Jr. comment.
Kid, so you said that wasn't an impressive catch?
No, it was an impressive catch.
Catch was dope. Come on.
Ted Ginn, in his career, as he's made his way through 100 NFL teams, okay, and always makes that one play every season that like says, all right, let's keep him for a little longer. Dude, I'm still back. I want you to look at this Carolina team. They've got nobody to work with Cam Newton. I mean, Ted Ginn, for his one great catch, he will drop the ball a billion times.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they really needed in this off. And what the worst thing that happened to them last year was the success that they had with their nobodies, because they felt like there was no need to go get anybody.
I understand.
You know, they're like, oh, well, we did all that without Benjamin. He'll come back and we'll be all set this season. So they did nothing with the run game. Stewart banged up. Stewart has been banged up forever, even when he played before, and even a bit of last season. You do nothing with your run game, and then you do nothing with your wide receivers to put around Cam Newton, and you want him to make everything happen. I think it's the GM there, I think, has done a terrible job with building that particular team.
Understood. So, for the rest of it here, I mean, the concussion thing, I see you got the notes here, and he looked a little dazed, man.
Dazed? He was crying. He was sitting there crying as they were talking to him.
And that's a tough cook. I mean, he is a real tough athlete, too, man. He must have got really hurt, Dream.
I don't know what happened, and I just did a small giggle. I'm not laughing at the situation. I mean, to talk about it now, it's a little bit on the, just a snicker, but to see him crying out there was actually kind of sad in the way he was going about it, because it really looked disturbing to me.
Yeah.
Professional athlete, especially of his caliber, and when you see a tough guy, which he's, told to be a tough man, big banger, big hitter, and to see him yet sitting there crying like a baby out there, a little bit more was going on than meets the eye. So I'm really, that's one of your concerns. About football. We know about the game of football. And guys, I'm mixed about some of the calls as far as this, dumbing down the NFL, not making it as physical. I'm a little bit, I grew up in an era where you try to kill each other out there on the field. But seeing things like that makes you want to just pull back a little minute and say, hey, maybe they do need to calm this game down with its physicality some.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if you can. I mean, you got sports out there like rugby that's even – I believe rugby is even worse.
I know, but
you got no protection whatsoever. And back in the day, they played with leather helmets too, which is nuts. But
get it with rugby, but rugby still – and I don't know, knock on rugby before the rugby guys start. It's just not a national – football's our –
oh, yeah, of course.
Our national sport.
Not even
so when you're talking about a sport that just is popular, like my kids are done. Like, honestly – I won't let my 9-year-old play yet. I'm letting him play flag. I'm not letting him play contact football yet. He's begging me to, because I just want his bones to grow. It's just my personal opinion about it. You know what I mean?
I understand. Got it. So there you go, guys. That was your football talk for the day so far. Later on in the show, we will talk about what we're doing for tonight if we're getting involved in anything.
Well, hang on, Hat. Before we get out of here, I just want to talk about two more things about
football. Okay, good. Go for it.
Have not discussed. Big ups to Tony Romo. And I didn't meant to say something about this yesterday, but we kind of got out of here before I had an opportunity. Tony Romo, if you guys are not aware, has basically passed the torch to Dak Prescott and not put himself in a bad situation with a salty, quarterback that is a starting quarterback, and he wants to now, I'm healthy, I want the ball back, and create that kind of atmosphere in Dallas. He's basically passed the torch, said that Dak has earned the right to play. He's been a great professional as far as this is concerned, and he's been, supportive in Dak Prescott. And I absolutely love what Romo did in this situation. Shows you what kind of a class act this guy is, because we've seen Favre in Green Bay. That was not clean. Even Peyton Ball last year with Osweiler, say what you want, Peyton Ball thing, and I love Peyton Ball. That was not clean either, okay?
You don't think so?
That was not clean. Peyton Ball, his support was a little bit shaky with that whole thing that went on, not showing up for games and trying to say, listen, it is what it is. It wasn't clean. Most of these don't go clean. They go kind of ugly. Tony Romo made this clean and made that whole locker room and made that whole organization right now. It's just that much easier, and everybody could take a breath of fresh air. It's also very smart on his part, because it's going to land him probably a great starting job next year with a bunch of other teams that could still use his talents.
Oh, so he went. I didn't get to hear it because I was at the bar, but I did see him having a press conference and stuff like that. So is that what he was talking about?
Basically said that Dak has earned the right to be the quarterback of the team. He supports him. Dak should be the quarterback. The team's been successful, and he's not made himself, not with that, I want to start kind of thing. He says he's there in a supportive role. He supports Dak, and he's all about the team and anything he could do to help it. Dude, that's dope.
I think that's dope.
That's dope. And with the way today's cutthroat sports works, that's dope.
Well, it doesn't hurt that he's getting a pretty big check every week too, just by chilling.
I mean, when you look at some of that, like I said, Peyton Ball, Brett, you talk about guys that got big checks, guys that had money. Money wasn't no issue. Yeah. Some of them quarterbacks are not stepping down, regardless of the money that they got. Yeah, they still want to make a spectacle out of it.
I understand. Got it. So, hey, you know what? I did see a dream, and I'm glad you were able to enlighten me on what was going on in that particular situation.
No doubt.
So you said he had two things. What else?
Well, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but Goodell now is trying to say that the Raiders maybe should stay where they're at. I'm like, the NFL, I don't know if Goodell knows what he's doing or not. And I don't know if it's because all of a sudden the Raiders are having a good season. I think it's a slap in the face, though. And I talked about this. You should not be allowed to move where you're from, period. Especially some of these teams that have established themselves and been there. And fans who have dealt with losing seasons out of these teams. The Rams, no business moving to LA as far as I'm concerned. They shouldn't move. If you want to expand, and I know there's not enough talent really to expand, to be honest with you. Yeah. Because we're looking at the watered down version of the NFL now, where they probably need to get rid of 5 teams in the NFL as it is. However, if you want to get into that market, then I think you expand. I don't think you move a team from its current market into that other market. You got fans that have loved these teams forever, supported these teams. Like, if you pick up in Cleveland right now and move Cleveland somewhere else, that's just a smack in the face to that town.
I get it.
And I've never been a big fan of that. But now it looks like the NFL may be backpedaling on the Raiders, moving to Las Vegas, which is bizarre. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that story, because I noticed now with the Raiders having some success, all of a sudden the NFL wants to backpedal. Very strange, because I just wonder if the Raiders had been the Raiders of old and were having a losing season, if they would be more than, all right, we're out of here.
Yeah, I got it. Well, hey, I think it'd be pretty damn cool to go to a football game in Las Vegas, Dream.
It would be, but not cool for the Raider fans who supported them through all these bad years to have their team pick up and bounce.
I understand that too. Totally get it. So, hey, it is what it is, and we'll see how that all shakes out. But when are they supposed to move? Next year?
They're supposed to move next year, but we're going to keep an eye on it, because I don't know where it's going down now. Like I said, there was talk about the Raiders, also some talk about the Chargers, but Goodell is talking about ideally it is for them to stay put. I don't know if he wants to add an expansion team, but, dude, the NFL doesn't need no more teams. Trust me.
I got it. All right. So moving on, Dream. Well, I see you got some other notes here. What you got on your sleeve, man?
Let's move over to the NBA game. The NBA's got stuff popping off. We know James Harden had an incredible night last night, triple-double, but I'm not really all that impressed, as I want to hear about James Harden's defense.
Yes.
Everybody's standing around watching James Harden play basketball. I'm kind of really tired of that.
I loved your comment the other day where they should just not have the team show up and just have a one-on-one with him and Westbrook. That was great. It's so true. And I loved your comment, too, about the NBA All-Star, where it's lost so much luster, where how dope would it be to have a one-on-one? That would be amazing. I think that would be just so cool. Imagine just seeing, Westbrook versus my boy. Or, Harden versus KD, or, Steph Curry. Steph Curry would get murdered in a one-on-one with somebody, I think.
I don't know, unless he just steps back and just shoots.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you know what? But you'd have, maybe you do, guards on guards. Like you have Tony Parker versus Steph Curry, or, something like that. You know what I mean?
Something nice. I don't know, the horse game. I don't know what you do. It would be interesting. No, I think maybe spice it up a little bit. I don't know how much you. Out of all the All-Star games, the NBA one is probably the better of them all. As far as the hockey one's pretty good too, though.
Yeah. The hockey one is great, but the worst of the worst is the NFL.
NFL is the worst. And they should have. Can you think of a way to fix that? Because I can't.
No,
I can't.
Maybe you have it after the Super Bowl, like a month later. Maybe something like that. You do it a month later after the Super Bowl is over, so nobody's missing,
Seems like it is a month later after the Super Bowl, isn't it?
No, it's right before the Super Bowl. So when you get the two participating teams in the Super Bowl, none of those players play in the Pro Bowl. That's how it works.
The Pro Bowl is before the Super Bowl?
It's a week before the Super Bowl, bro.
Oh, is that new? Where have I been? I don't know.
What? Really?
Honestly, had.
Really?
It always was it?
It's before the Super Bowl, Dream.
I don't remember the Pro. I don't know. I always thought the Pro Bowl was after the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. My bad.
No.
The Super Bowl guys always never go.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, you didn't have any Carolina Panthers in there last year. You didn't have any Denver Broncos in there. That's what I'm saying. So you got to think about that. But anyway, I think you do it a month later, and I think that you have some kind of incentive for whether it's the AFC or the NFC. I don't know how you would do that, for the following year. But I think that would be the best way to do it. Or you just do it halfway through the season. Something like that as well. But then again, you risk getting injured.
Because cats will get hurt. I don't know what's right. I don't know why I'm having a brain freeze with this particular topic. Maybe because I just never pay attention to the Pro Bowl.
You definitely don't.
I never pay attention to it.
We don't even gamble on it. I mean, if anything, you just bet the over.
I never do. I don't want to bet the over. I don't want to watch it. I never pay attention to it. And I'm sorry, gang, if I'm coming off stuck on stupid. SOS on the dream this morning. But the Pro Bowl just doesn't. First of all, I don't like none of them, really. I don't even watch the NBA one. I don't even watch that anymore. Back when when the last one I saw was when Kobe and Jordan were in it.
You love the baseball one, though, don't you?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, the baseball.
All-Star game.
I think I'm getting myself ready right now. Watch the baseball one. They should put the baseball one on right now. If you turn on the fan, you swear it was baseball season.
Oh, they were talking about all day with McCann getting traded to the Houston Astros. I sat there and listened to 30 minutes of the fan yesterday in my car, just waiting for some football talk. I got no football talk. I'm like, come on. Really? McCann got traded from the Yankees to the Astros, and for two right-handers and blah 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 blah. What do you think of the trade? And blah. I'm like, oh, dude, this is brutal.
I will never forget. I was working. It was the NFL playoffs, and you guys are going to remember the game I'm talking about. NFC Championship game, Minnesota Vikings, Randall Cunningham as quarterback. That's when the Vikings were absolutely dope, playing the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons had the Dirty Birds. Minnesota Vikings had Randall Cunningham. This is the year that Minnesota was supposed to play Denver for the Super Bowl. They were the two best teams in the AFC and the NFC, both running wild with it. I'm leaving work. I'm leaving work, and I'm trying to get to wherever I'm going to get. So I turn on the fan to try to hear the score of the game because I unfortunately had to work that day. And the fan is talking about baseball. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
You got to get something done with the program.
To crash the car. I wanted to just smash into people around me. It was just so bad. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And that particular game, I didn't get home till the very end, and the Atlanta Falcons beat that Minnesota Viking team that was running away with it. They had Moss that year. That year, the Vikings were incredible. They just Moss had like 1 billion yards. They just threw the ball up in the air. Remember that year?
Yes.
It was unbelievable. And Atlanta won, and it just robbed us of one of the greatest. That was building up to be one of the greatest Super Bowls probably to date. And we get robbed of it as Atlanta gets in there, the Dirty Birds, and then they got murdered in the Super Bowl. And they murdered them in the Super Bowl.
Right on. So let's move on, Dream. I think we got some games to talk about here.
We do have some games to talk about. We got some college football going down tonight, gang. It's not marquee matchups. So relax. All right. We got Memphis versus Cincinnati is the first of the two. And then we also have UNLV versus Boise State. The UNLV versus Boise State game has a little bit of my attention, a lot more than the Memphis versus Cincinnati game, so to say.
Understood.
Both teams this season, especially Cincinnati. What do you think happened to them this year?
I don't know. They're losers of 3 straight games. They have a losing record, 4-6, and I'm surprised, Dream. I know that a bunch of seniors left and all that, but I mean, when you look at what they've done in the last 3 games, they've only put up, Dream, in 3 games, 19 points.
Awful.
That is bad. And it's not even like they play. I mean, they did play at Temple, at UCF, and they played BYU, but still, you got to put up some points, guys. 19 points in 3 games. What's that, 6 1/3 points per game they're averaging in the last 3? Brutal. So, obviously, you got the home team underdog on prime time situation, but Cincinnati has been bad. So, I don't know. I mean, where is this team's head at?
I'm looking at both these teams, and you look at their rush yards allowed, which, I'm always a big advocate of that particular statistic. Dude, bad to worse. Memphis is giving up 216 yards on the ground. Cincinnati 179 yards on the ground. So basically the defensive lines, non-existent in both of these teams. It just got running wild on the field as far as the running game is concerned. Out of the 2 running backs, I got to give the nod to my man, Sean Green over at Cincinnati. 133 carries, 635 yards with 2 touchdowns. Kind of impressive. Probably a little success running the ball. I don't think there's any reason to get involved in this game.
No, I don't know, man. I mean, you're looking at it here, and both defense, as you alluded to. I mean, Cincinnati gives up roughly about 410 yards a game, where Memphis is about 440. But the thing is with Cincinnati, I mean, all year long, when you average them, 18.8 points per game offensively. Been bad. And Cincinnati here is 1-7 against the spread in the last 8 games, 1-5 straight up in their last 6, and 1-7 against the spread in the last 8 at home. This team is just not performing at all at home. It's going to be a tough one, Dream. And when you look at the landscape of how they've fared as far as when they faced each other, Memphis won this game last year 53-46. I think it's going to be a little bit different this time, to be honest with you. But I'm not going to get involved in this game, Dream. I'm going to sit back and watch and see if my home team underdog stuff continues. But I'm not going to play it, guys. I don't want to play this one. I really don't. Are you interested in playing it?
I am not interested in playing it. I'm going to just listen. We got a whole weekend, plethora of games on tomorrow, plethora of games on Sunday.
Big time.
I can definitely pass from this. I don't need to get involved in Cincinnati, Memphis.
All right, sounds good. So what's the next one up your sleeve here?
Next one up the sleeve is Boise State. Boise State, I don't know. They seem real comfortable playing on Friday night, and they kind of got a bit to play for when you think about it. When you've done your AP rankings, they are number 23, looking probably to move themselves up a notch, or number 20, depending on whichever poll you're looking at. Probably looking to move themselves up a notch. The loss to Wyoming really stung them as far as their, they got to be looking for trying to get in the major bowl.
New Year's Six
won
Bowl.
against the conference this season, 9-1, on the season. I would consider this a successful season for them. So look at them. 389 yards they've given up, defensively, 165 on the ground. You struggle with that a little bit. Well, at least I do. Well, offensively, they put up 497 yards, and they're an offensive kind of juggernaut. Boise State's always been a pretty good offensive school. 36 points per game you're scoring. You got UNLV coming in at 34 points per game. It does look like a pretty good over situation tonight.
It does. You got a total of 65.5. And when you look at the UNLV defense, they're giving up 5 touchdowns a game, 35.4 points per game. Where Boise, they only give up 22. But you know what, Dream? I'm looking at this line. The 28 points, it seems like a little bit of a high number.
Does.
Just because you have the UNLV Rebels who can score some points. 34.4 the average offensively. And, when you look at Boise defensively, they're not the best team in the land at all. So, I could see Boise maybe running away with this for a while, and then that backdoor cover at the end. A meaningless touchdown in the last 3 minutes by UNLV, and they lose by like 24. You know what I'm saying? Can't you see that happening?
You might be right. I think that the over, though, is the play in this particular game. I like the over. and I kind of like it a lot. I think a lot of scoring is going to go down. Not much defense is going to be played. Boise State, like I said, they seem to rock and roll on Friday night. The worst thing you're going to have to do is watch this game with that blue field. Oh,
I like it.
Son, no, I hate it. Oh, my God. Really? You like it?
I like the blue field.
Oh, the blue field drives me crazy because it feels like whenever I watch it, and I always seem to watch it at a bar somewhere. I never seem to watch it at home. But whenever I see that blue field, I'm like, is something wrong with the TV?
Yeah, right. I know, exactly. Well, I can tell you this much, Dream. This Boise State team, the Broncos, are 0-5 against the spread in the last 5 games on that blue turf.
Yep.
They're not covering their spreads.
Yep.
I'm almost inclined to take a little UNLV plus 28.5 tonight.
Well, I tell you what, if you're going to do that, my recommendation would be to tease UNLV in the over. Get UNLV up one more score and get that over down 7 points, and I think that you probably can run away with. But I like the over by itself. I'm not going to get involved with UNLV, and I'm going to tell you why. The one game that bothers me, I always look at common opponents. The common opponent was Hawaii. Both teams played Hawaii on the road in Hawaii, and we do know Hawaii stinks. UNLV beat Hawaii 41-38, which was a struggle. Boise State murdered Hawaii 52-16.
Yeah, but you know what? If you have different times of the year, it all depends on where their heads are at and all that. So,
talk about three weeks. There's a separation of 3 weeks, player.
I got it. Yeah. But, UNLV is one of the worst road teams in college football. 2-17 in the last 19 games on the road. So chances are they're not going to win the game. But I wouldn't be surprised if they covered.
And we also look at the San Diego State game. Boise State beat them 45-31. UNLV loses to San Diego State 30-24. Just very interesting looking at some of who they play. Now, I know somebody's going to probably mention to me later in the show, well, UNLV beat Wyoming and Boise State lost to them. I do know that, but UNLV did beat Wyoming in 3 overtimes. All right. So I'll keep that as a note. I like the over tonight. I don't like either side. I think the over is solid. If you got the marathon play, if you took Houston last night in that marathon teaser with the 10 points, then you throw Boise State over in there, and I think that it's solid as hell if you get it down to 56. I don't know how that's not going to happen because I could see probably Boise State scoring a 56 all by themselves.
No doubt. 50. Let's call it 48-24 final score. How about that? All right. So that's going to do it for college football. Unless you got anything up your sleeve as far as the other sports are concerned, Dream.
Nothing up my sleeves, guys. I tried to get a hockey guy on today, and it just didn't work out. Things popped up last minute for him, and I wasn't able to get him on, and I'm sorry about that. I do want to make note of there are a lot of injuries going down in the hockey world, so be very careful. Check your injury reports. Hockey's got a plethora of injuries right now. I don't know if that's custom. I don't remember hockey having this many significant injuries at the beginning of the season. So you might want to keep a look at that as far as moving forward and as far as some of the teams that you're getting involved in. Also, I did talk about the Montreal Canadiens. They are back playing tonight on the ice tonight. I do like them this evening. Mind you, they are not home. They're on the road. They're playing Carolina on the road. Keep that in mind. But I do like the Montreal Canadiens to bounce back after their loss that they just took. Had a couple nights off. I think they'll bounce back and they will get a win tonight. I like Montreal if you're looking at hockey.
All right. Sounds good. So, Dream, I'll be ready to get with you tomorrow, and we will talk about it, guys. I'm going to talk to my co-host after the show. We might have to do the show a little bit early tomorrow, but we'll have that conversation, and we'll make the announcement on all of our social media platforms within the next few hours. So we will talk about it, and we will go from there. Dream, great show today, man.
No doubt. Definitely want to thank everybody that's retweeted the show. We got our faithful out there. My man, Terrence Mack. I see you, T-Mac. What's going on? Good to see you out there. JDH24, one of the faithfuls as well. Fast Eddie 72, always great to see you. Key MVU, JC, my man Irvin, always great to see Irvin out there. Rick Lopez, you too as well. Cash Action Bets is always positive as well. Avian, all you guys, you know what? We love you guys. You guys support us all the time. We thank you getting up. Some of you guys I know are on the West Coast and you're up mad early. I don't know if you're working or what you're doing, but if you're up supporting us, hey, Big shouts out and big thank yous from the SBTV Nation here. Jason Riley as well. Christos, LA WizKid, my girl, Vegas Girl 92661 is in the house as well. Wooch GG, Gary Bouchard, just to name a few. Some of the other cats listen when they can. Killer Cam, 505's out there. Jim Rome is a douche. My girl Jackie Gamble Lou, Jonesy's as well. Want to send a big shout out to my man Scott Weaver too. Can't forget him, Stu Gazy, Joseph Del Rosario, Jay Gotts, BT, Average Joe Punter, and my man Mr. Charlie over at Direct Sports Solution, and also throwing the incredible Molly Mar, Sir Mata, and Miss Taylor Stevens. Want to thank her once again for coming on the show and gracing her with her presence. Wishing her some luck in that super contest that she's involved with. Yeah. Tomorrow. College football full slate. Don't know what twists and turns are going to have for us as we get on that roller coaster ride tomorrow, but we will be here to try to guide you through it. I'm the Dream. Always remember who you're with. Make the most of each and every day because you cannot get this time back.
Oh, yeah. And we also have WWE Survivor Series this weekend, Dream. And you know you got the big match between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I'm sure your kids can't.
I got that right next to the baseball all-star.
That's going to be a good one, and I'm picking Brock Lesnar to win. And he's minus 320, so that's like your numbers. So, money line parlay, Brock Lesnar. Guys, we love you to death. Go out there and go easy. Enjoy your Friday. Make all your dreams a damn reality and get that money. Let's go.
Peace.